ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
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 ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय.
Okay, welcome back to the session on the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Today we are going to begin from the chapter 16. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminiti Namine. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarne. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So this chapter is a very significant chapter in which we have we learn about how important it is for a king to have a council of brahmanas, how their guidance is so much required. Then we also learn how much it is important that the management of the entire kingdom has to be done by a virtuous king or as we call a Rajarishi. And also what are all the symptoms by which we can see that Kali, as the age of Kali has come into play, or we can see what are the characteristics of the age of Kali. And also we can also learn how by the discussion between the rishis in questioning Suta Goswami, we can also understand that how the rishis were so much interested in trying to know about those subject matters which may not be directly Krishna conscious. There may be some activity which may not be directly Krishna conscious, but since it has a connection to Krishna, they are interested in hearing that. So that's we will see as we go through the verses. Okay, just giving you the divisions of the first 4 verses. Suta Goswami explains that once, as Maharaj Parishit was reigning under the guidance of the Brahmanas, he punished the master of Kali Yuga, who was causing pain to a cow and a bull. So in short, the Maharaj Parishit is the ideal ruler who punishes Kali. So verses 1 to 4 discusses about that. Okay, the first verse is an important verse. Wherein Srila Prabhupada he explains about the qualification of a devotee and quite something. So we will just start reading it. Sutta vacha tata parikshit dvijavarya shikshaya mahim mahabhagavata shashasaha yata hi sutyam abhijatako vidha samadhishan vipramahad gunastata. Suta Goswami said, O learned Brahmanas, Maharaj Parikshit then began to rule over the world as a great devotee of the Lord under the instructions of the best of the twice born Brahmanas. He ruled by those great qualities which were foretold by expert astrologers at the time of his birth. Now this is an interesting thing. Even before we proceed further, we just a little bit remember, see Yudhishthira Maharaj and the Pandavas, they all were they all departed this material world. And we saw how responsible the kings were also, Pandavas were also. They did not leave like that. They saw that the kingdom is handed out to a responsible personality, so that the dharma is maintained, that the people are protected, the welfare is taken care. So Parishit was made the king, and because of him, Parishit being a great personality and a pure devotee of the Lord, already the predictions are done, how great he is. And we also see that Parishit Maharaj acted according to the predictions that was given in the Shastras, in the Jyotisha, whatever that was mentioned. And that's how everything was true. It was not anything was fake. So the astrologers could predict very nicely, and Parishit also he stuck to the path that is given by the Shastras and the sadhus. And in here in this verse, this word is quite significant. He followed whom? Dvijavarya. He followed the instructions of the Brahmanas. This is very, very important point, and Prabhupada very much highlights it. We will look into that. So Prabhupada, in the purport, he makes the point that the most important quality that is required for a person is to be a devotee of the Lord. The real qualification is to become a devotee of the Lord, and gradually all the good qualities worthy of possession develop. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, 26 qualities of a Vaishnava is discussed. Anybody remembers what's the most important quality, and from that quality all other qualities manifest? Krishneka Sharanam. That's the most important point. If one is completely surrendered to Krishna, then all the other good qualities manifest. Yas yashita bhaktir bhagavatya kinchana sarvai gunai tatra samasate suraha. Bhagavatam also explains in the 5th canto. It is explained that all the good qualities manifest in the good qualities of demigods. Everything manifests in the devotee. Why? Because yesterday the Bhaktir Bhagavatya Akinchana is Akinchana, devotee of the Lord. We already saw how Kunti Maharani glorified the Lord, that the devotee is Akinchana. No, nothing. He does not have any possessions. The only possession is the Lord. So that Prabhupada acknowledges. So Prabhupada here further he says, Maharaj Parikshit was a Maha Bhagavata, or a first class devotee who was not only well versed in the science of devotion, but also able to convert others to become devotees by his transcendental instructions. You see, this is the point. It's not enough that you know what is there in the Shastras, but you have to take steps to help others to become Krishna conscious. Okay, as we read in the very first class, if you remember in the introduction to the Bhagavatam, we read about what Prabhupada speaks about this Bhakti Vaibhava course. He said that Bhakti Vaibhava is not just studying Bhagavatam. Bhakti Vaibhava includes Bhagavad Gita, nectar of instruction, nectar of devotion, and all the other subjects, plus we are studying Bhagavatam. So you are all great rishis. So I am sure you remember something from the profound instruction of Srila Rupa Goswami, where he speaks about the different levels of devotees. So Prabhupada, in one of the purports in the nectar of instruction, he speaks about the quality of a Uttamadhikari. What does he say? Anybody remembers? There are so many different qualities out there. I am looking for one particular quality, wherein Prabhupada says that he can be addressed as an Uttamadhikari. Okay, you are almost close. Prabhupada very clearly says that the devotee is all the time thinking of how to expand this Krishna consciousness movement. Do you remember this? Are you able to recollect? He's saying all the time his mind is always thinking how to expand this Krishna consciousness movement. So we were having discussion, no? There is a discussion that only you can accept Guru as a Uttamadhikari. So then there were so many discussions. But this is the point. He is following the instructions of the spiritual master who is coming in bona fide parampara. He is controlling his senses and mind. He is following all the instructions of the predecessor acharyas, irrespective of whatever may be his background in which he is born. His only intention is how to expand this Krishna conscious mission. All the time thinking, so he can be considered Uttamadhikari. You see here Parikshit Maharaj, he was very much interested to impart these transcendental instructions to the welfare of everyone. And how he was able to do that? Then we can see Prabhupada is continuing. Maharaj Parikshit was therefore a devotee of the first order, and thus he used to consult great sages and learned brahmanas who could advise him by the Shastras how to execute the state administration. This is an important aspect if somebody wants to be a leader. Or if you say you are a leader, not that you just act according to the whims and fancies of your mind. You take guidance from the sadhus, or in simple terms as Prabhupada puts here. What's the word that is used here? Yeah, it is explained here. Vijada Kovita Mahim. Dvijavarya, that's the word used. Dvijavarya. You have to take instruction from Brahmanas who knows what is what should be done, what should not be done. Tasmat Chastrang Pramanante Karya Vyavastito. So who knows what is the proper act, what is not a proper act? Who knows that? Brahmana means he is well versed in the Shastras, not that theoretically he very well practically knows what to apply, what not to apply, what will be good in the situation, what will not be good in this situation, what decision to take, what decision not to take, how to act in this particular situation. So he is a wise king. King himself is well read in the Shastras. He has heard from the Brahmanas and also is very humble, always to take counsel from the board of Brahmanas. Same thing in any, that's why a disciple always consults the spiritual master. Any devotee in any situation, better take advice. Don't just go with the different thought process that comes in your mind. Life will be miserable. Okay. We can see contrasting situations, no? One is Prithu Maharaj, another one, Prithu Maharaj who always consulted the Brahmanas, another one who was the other person. Vena was such a crazy person. Never wanted to listen to any good advice of thoughtful, saintly people. So he had to be removed from ruling the kingdom. Needed example. Then other example we can see. People who got puffed up by position. We can just see in the life of Sugriva. And Sugriva just got to power. And he just regained, he got the power. A little bit, he got carried away. Not a little bit, to quite some extent. He forgot this mission. Power and post can completely bewilder a person. At the time you will not be ready to hear good counsel also. Ravana, how much good advice was given to him? Completely carried away. Because although you may be surrounded by learned Brahmanas, but if you are not going to listen to get the good advice, your life will be miserable. So this is a good lesson that we learn. So it's always very important to get counseling from Brahmanas. What kind of Brahmanas? That also we will see. Such great kings, Prabhupada says further, there was no need for impractical fools to enact daily a new legislative bill and to conveniently alter it again and again to serve some purpose. So this is the problem. The problem in the modern age is that they will pass some rule, and immediately one opposition party will make some big propaganda, and immediately they will alter the bill, or they will a bill here says some kind of some rule, some legislation will be passed in the parliament. If mostly it is motivated, they want to import some goods. There may be some very good availability of say some particular grain. Say some wheat is available. China or some other country is exporting it to India, and India may get big commission out of it. So for no reason they will try to push that commodity for sale, and which will create havoc in the society. I'm just giving you one. There could be a big discussion on this whole thing, how the politicians, how the so-called leaders are acting according to their own whims. So where to give priority, where not to give priority, all those things has to be seen. So for that you need intellectuals. Intellectuals means not just those intellectuals who will guide us how to comfortably engage in sense gratification. Not such kind of intellectuals. There are intellectuals in the world, so-called intellectuals who are very expert in it. Scientists are in that platform, are in that category. So-called people who are lawyers, who have studied law, or who are even studied administrative service, who have been studied so much administration. They are all quite expert in so many different subject matters, but they just ignore the most important aspect of a thoughtful person's life, which is submission to the Supreme Lord and His instructions. From that, everything else sprouts. All good qualities sprouts. All that is beneficial to the country sprouts. They are lost. So unfortunately, that's why Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say, there are cheaters and cheated. That's what is going on now. So Prabhupada makes that point. So Prabhupada, he says that the rules and regulations were already set forth by great liberated sages like Manu, Yajnavalkya, Parashara. And the enactments were all suitable for all ages, in all places. Therefore, the rules and regulations were standard and without flaw or defect. So this is the point that many times we discuss. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranita. Today, you will give some law. Tomorrow, he will give some law and I will give some law. Everybody will come up with so many different ideas to suit their whims and fancies. But what will be the best law to follow? The best law to follow will be the law that is set by the Lord Himself, or the injunctions given in the Shastra. So the Smritis, as Prabhupada mentions here, Yajnavalkya Smriti, Parashara Smriti, Manu Smriti, these are standard codes. When we follow these codes in all time, place and situation, we will be able to peacefully lead life so that we can have a favorable atmosphere to remember the Supreme Lord and engage in His service. This is the whole point. Kings like Maharaj Parikshit had their council of advisors, and all the members of that council were either great sages or brahmanas of the first order. They did not accept any salary, nor had they any necessity for such a salary. So that's why you will always be ready to speak the truth. Once you get some money, then you have to dance to the tunes of the leader. Otherwise, you will not. Your check will not be deposited at the end of the month. And you may falsely glorify the leader. You may just try to find some loophole, or you can always manipulate shastras, right? People are simple people. You can just give some quote, and then you can just say that this is okay, this is permitted, and you will misquote something from somewhere, and then say it is mentioned in the shastras like this. Of course, today there are even people who are not even in that category, who study the shastras and then misquote it. But we saw that in the case of Shukracharya giving advice to Bali, he was trying to establish that you can speak a lie. And he is here and there trying to quote some shastras for that. So that is there. So the point is that the state, Prabhupada says, they did not accept any salary, nor had they any necessity for such a salary. The state would get it's in italics, the state would get the best advice without expenditure. Nowadays, you see, there are so many counselings. There are psychiatrists, there are political counsellors, there are counsellors for education, there are counsellors to buy a land, real estate counsellors. So many in different fields, there are so many counselling being done. But who is there to do it free of cost? For everything you have to pay. Even to get a medical advice on something, you have to pay. First pay the registration fee, consulting fee, then we will walk into the room. That's how it is, right? Reality is like this. We are in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. We are freely counseling people. Please come. Come and take shelter of this Bhagavatam. Hear from this Bhagavatam. All the problems will be solved. Bhagavatam book, this book Bhagavatam and the devotee Bhagavatam, they are guiding people in all fields. Ultimately, reminding ourselves as eternal servant of Krishna to engage in Krishna service, which is the solution for all the problems. Jeev Krishna Das, E Vishwas, Korletoy Ardukona, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. So that's the point. So to getting the advice from the Brahmanas. And what kind of Brahmanas? I'll just come to that. And this is an interesting point. Prabhupada says that these Brahmanas were Samadarshis. They were not biased. They will be bold enough to speak the truth anywhere. And we can remember, just to see the Chandragupta, King Chandragupta Maurya. He was well trained by whom? Chanakya. Chanakya trained him very nicely. Right? And he spoke from the Artha Shastra. He knew what is to be done, what is not to be done. And he himself was very honest. You remember that Prabhupada also narrates it in one lecture, I think. When once Chanakya was, someone came to meet Chanakya, and then there were, he swapped the lamps. There were two lamps that was glowing, I think. There was one lamp in which he was doing some work, and when this person came, he switched off that lamp and he turned on another lamp. When he was asked why you did this, he said that, that was I was doing service for the government. Now this is for personal meeting. It's for the personal affairs. I don't want to misuse the government's money or the king's money. You see, that was the loyalty. That's such kind of personalities. Now, for every small thing, they are thinking, the person who is giving advice is thinking how I can get money. The person who gets the advice is thinking what kind of illegal way I can adopt so that I can get money. Everything is just, everyone is just looking for the Gandhi note. And they are thinking how I can be happy. So, you cannot be happy. This is not at all possible. That's what here the message we are getting from the Bhagavatam. Such council members were not fools or representatives to compose a fool's paradise. They were all self-realized souls, and they knew perfectly well how all living beings in the state would be happy, both in this life and in the next. So they were not concerned with the hedonistic philosophy of eat, drink, be merry and enjoy. They were philosophers in the real sense, and they knew well what is the mission of human life. Right? Now what is the so-called politicians or what is the law that we have? India is a secular state. So secular state means you should allow the practice of all religions, but we cannot go and then give a class on the Bhagavad Gita in any college. Right? This is the kind of secularism that we have. Secularism means allow, okay, let him speak from Bible, I didn't speak from Quran, I didn't speak from Bhagavad Gita. This kind of secularism is actually, they're promoting atheism. No religion at all. So this is bogus, cheating. Okay. So what is Prabhupada says? Okay, so I just wanted to, an interesting verse. So what kind of Brahmanas are they? So if you remember in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, Nanda Maharaj is seeking blessings. He's seeking blessings for Krishna from great personalities. In that verse is mentioned, the quality of the Brahmanas are mentioned. Which kind of Brahmanas he is inviting? He says, Ye asuyantra dhambersha. So asuya, these kind of Brahmanas, they are not envious. Himsamana vivarjitaha. So they are not disturbed by the opulence of others, or they don't want to get money from others. They are not looking for any prestige, name, fame, glories. They are not interested. So completely devoid of vivarjitaha, ahimsa, mana. Na tesham satya shilanam. So they are always for the truth. They are always, so satya shilanam also here, the translation says that they are always having all the top qualities. Samodhama, Shamodhamas, Tapas, Shaucham, Shanti, Rajyam, Evacha, Jnana, Vijnana, Vastikyam. All the qualities that Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, they are endowed with all those qualities. So he says that these are the perfect Brahmanical qualifications. Ashisha Vipalakritaha. So I want such kind of Brahmanas to come and then bless Krishna, he says. So when such kind of Brahmanas are giving counsel to the king, or when the Prime Minister has got such kind of administrative officers, all intellectual, intelligent people to handle situations, then that government will be good government. Otherwise, Prabhupada says that this so-called democracy is for the people, by the people, for the ignorant people, for the tamasic people, by the tamasic people, by the tamasic rulers. That's what is going on in the name of democracy. That's what is happening. So that's not going to help in any way. Okay, let's go to the next verse. Sa uttarasya tanayam upayema iravatim janame jayadins chaturas tasyam utpadayat sutan. King Parikshit married the daughter of King Uttara and begot 4 sons headed by Maharaja Janame Jaya. So this is another important aspect we can see. The marriage also is not done whimsically. It is done as per the proper astrological match, and also very much the family in which the girl or the boy is born is seen. So everything in the Vedic times was done very scientifically, not just blindly, without any purpose. Something is being done. Nowadays, the philosophy is love is blind. You just get married to anyone and get married. Good, you get married. That itself is not happening. Marriage is too much of a responsibility, so there is no marriage. But you see here, Prabhupada is making a point. Iravati, being the daughter of Maharaja Uttara, was the cousin sister of Maharaja Parikshit. But cousin brothers and sisters were allowed to get married because they did not belong to the same Gotra or family. In the Vedic system of marriage, the importance of the Gotra or family was stressed. For example, the boy belongs to Kaushika Gotra and the girl belongs to Kaundinya Gotra. No problem, marriage will be allowed. If both of them are of the same Gotra, there's a problem. What's the problem? The problem is that, I'm just saying, that the child that will be born, it is like, brothers and sisters. There is a problem. The problem is the child that will be born may be blind. The child will have some disease. They will be very dull-headed. The progeny will not be proper. In fact, one conversation, Srila Prabhupada is having a conversation with Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Devtar Maharaj, something like that. Prabhupada is saying that he is speaking about one particular followers of one particular religion. He said that they are less intelligent because he says that the marriage happens within the same family. He says, you understand, same family means same Gotra. So then the offsprings will not be proper, he says. You can figure out which faith I am speaking about. So anyway, the point is that so the Gotra was important. So all those things are very properly seen. What is the quality of the boy, quality of the girl. what are they having the match, proper matches there. So then, what is being seen for the marriage, what is being seen is the future of the couple. What kind of progeny they will have. Will there be good value-added contribution to the society? All those things are taken care. It's a separate subject matter. But here, the discussion is about the Gotra that's being mentioned here. Okay. There is another, so Prabhupada also here points out that Arjuna also married Subhadra, although she was his maternal cousin sister. So, you may be a maternal cousin sister, but are they from different Gotra? That is the consideration. Okay. So now there is another point here being mentioned. We also see how Janamejaya was very much upset because his father died because of the because of the bite of the serpent. So he wanted to completely finish the race of serpents. So, but what happened on the advice of again you can see here that the kings had so much respect for the Brahmanas, those who gave advice. So when there was a request that was done by the demigods and all great personalities, so Janamejaya cooled down, and Prabhupada makes a point. He says, in the ceremony, Mahamuni Vyasadeva also was present, and he personally narrated the history of the battle of Kurukshetra before the king. Later on, by the order of Vyasadeva, his disciple Vaishampayana narrated before the king the subject matter of the Mahabharata. He was much affected by his great father's untimely death and was very anxious to see him again. And he expressed his desire before the great sage Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva also fulfilled his desire with his father present before him. He worshipped both his father and Vyasadeva with great respect and pomp. Anyway, so on the advice of the Brahmanas, Janamejaya he spared. And we can see also in the case of okay, I'll just leave it to you. Just think about it. And there's another king who also crossed the limits, went on to smash one particular race. Dhruva Maharaj, yes. What he did, he wanted to completely finish off the Yakshas. Then actually, Swayambhu Manu has to come, so much preaching he did. Daksha, he subsided. Okay, I should not do. So Janamejaya also here, he cooled down. So also we can see sometimes, this we see when somebody becomes really angry. See, another thing we can learn from Bhagavatam. When you become angry, sometimes you just immediately put a blanket statement, or you say, this particular caste, this particular background people, they are like this. Put a blanket statement and then you just let them suffer for the rest of their life, or let this entire community go to hell. Are you able to understand what I'm saying? So we have to see what is the situation. For example, let's say some farmer did a mistake. Now for the entire farmer, you cannot kill the entire farmers. Okay, anybody for that matter. Anybody does something, you cannot just immediately brand that particular communities are completely demons. You cannot say like that. We have to see what is the situation. So that we see here. Text 3. Maharaj Parishit, after having selected Kripacharya for guidance as his spiritual master, performed 3 horse sacrifices on the banks of the Ganges. These were executed with lavish rewards of the attendants, and at these sacrifices, even the common man could see demigods. If you think about it, how is it possible for the common man to see the demigods? What is the reason? How the common man could see? Normally it is not possible. People are pure.
Yes.
The very common men, they may not have been so pure. Yeah, that was also there.
Because of the king, each and every
This is the point. Because the king was so pure and so powerful, it was because of his power and his purity, it was made possible so that the common man could have the darshan of the great personalities. Okay, well, let's see what Prabhupada says. The demigods from other planets were visible even to the common man due to the sacrificial ceremony. That's one reason, is because he was engaged in sacrificial ceremony. The demigods are not generally visible to common men, as the Lord is not visible, but as the Lord by his causeless mercy descends to be visible to the common man. Similarly, the demigods also become visible to the common man by their own grace. Although celestial beings are not visible to the naked eyes of the inhabitants of this earth, it was due to the influence of Maharaj Parikshit that the demigods also agreed to be visible. The kings used to spend lavishly during such sacrifices as the cloud distributes rain. So this is the point. So we also see, Krishna says, Naham Prakasha Sarvasya Yoga Maya Samavata. If Lord wants to reveal himself, he will reveal. Similarly, demigods also, they were pleased. And because of Maharaj Parikshit's such a power and his purity, they could see the demigods. But now what is happening? Now in this age, nobody would ever will ever think of coming to be. They will think of being born in Kali Yuga or come and show their face in Kali Yuga. The kind of atrocities that is happening, that we will see in the upcoming purports. For the kind of cow slaughter and the kind of all illegal activities that is going on, nobody would ever try to come in this Kali Yuga. So Kali Yuga is the age of quarrel and disagreement, and all abominable activities take place in Kali Yuga. So that's why this age is so downtrodden. Okay. Prabhupada says that even for a king like Maharaj Parikshit, there was a need of a spiritual master for guidance. Actually, do you think Parikshit Maharaj required a spiritual master? He is a pure devotee, Mahabhagavata. What advice he needs? But yadyat acharati sreshtas tattad eve tarojana sayat pramanam krute lokastad anuvartata. Without such guidance, one cannot make progress in spiritual life. So it's worth it. Never at any point of time we should think that I am now such an advanced devotee, such a great personality. That itself, your Maya has finished us. The moment we think I don't need any advice from anyone. If you remember in the discussion of Bharat Maharaj section, Srila Prabhupada, he mentions the point that Bharat Maharaj was on the level of bhav. So he says that why he fell down. Yes, that was specifically he did not have. There was no one to guide him. He did not take any advice from any spiritual master at that point of time. Correct? If he had checked whether I can get along doing this, taking care of this deer, then somebody would have given him a warning. Hey, come on, maybe that's not the best idea. Better you just leave it. You focus yourself on your spiritual activities. Many times, it is like this. We will get carried away when we are doing something. Then we will be going out of balance, and immediately we can see advanced devotees, spiritual master. They immediately point us. Any small mistake they see, and it is a mercy that we get, and we have to be very fortunate enough. Sometimes we think too much control is happening on us. That does not be control at all. It can be a little free. Well, nobody wants to control, but the control and the check and balances are there to see that the pure devotional service is maintained. Otherwise, why? In fact, there is a statement, right? Your guru ceases to be a Vaishnava by giving instructions. Because why? Because Trinadapi Sunichena. When every Vaishnava is expected to follow Trinadapi Sunichena Tararapi Saishana principle, then the guru is also expected to follow. But he all the time chastises, he all the time corrects, he all the time gives advices and all those things. So by doing this, he ceases to be a Vaishnava because he kind of takes, it may apparently appear that he is not following Trinadapi Sunichena, correct? But he does this for the expansion. This is what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says. For expanding the Krishna consciousness movement, right? To please the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He has taken that role. Similarly, so however, whatever situation one is, a devotee may be, he is always ready to hear from an advanced devotee so that he will always be on the right track. So that's very good. Okay. Text 4. Once when Maharaj Parikshit was on his way to conquer the world, he saw the master of Kali Yuga, who was lower than a Shudra, disguised as a king and hurting the legs of a cow and bull. The king at once caught hold of him to deal sufficient punishment. Okay, here it is mentioned. What is the word that is being used? Nijagraha, sufficiently punished. Ojasa, by his prowess. So Prabhupada says, thus as soon as Maharaj Parikshit saw that a lower class man in the dress of a king was hurting the legs of a cow and a bull, at once he arrested and punished him. It's a complete contrast, no? In the Kali Yuga, in the modern age, anybody can do anything. Atrocities can happen. It will just continue to go on. Nobody can give any feed. And if anything happens, they'll just bribe the police. They'll even change the law. Anything they will manipulate. If you are a very big industrialist, you can manipulate the law. It's all the question of might. Might is right. How much ever money you have, you can just dominate the situation. But even if there are some, we can also see many movies. There will be a new. It's a fact. What they show in some movies, it's something else. Sometimes a very young person, energetic person who has studied, who graduated from Indian Police Service, he finished the exam and everything. He really wants to establish law. He comes to the local place, and then he just saw some atrocities going on. He wants to right royally question. He wants to establish the dharma there. Then when he comes immediately, let's see, when a new person is posted in the say in a city, you can see all great let's say industrialists or the big top businessmen. They all will come and then greet the police officer, and then they give him gifts. They welcome him. Like it's a common thing that happens. Actually, it should be out of well wish, out of good wish. But it happens for different purposes, all motivated interests. Okay, here is my phone number. Any problem, anything you have, you can call me. But when that particular goods are coming, crossing the border, you please, just allow it. Don't involve. And you don't worry. Everything else you will take care. All your comforts will be taken care. And if the police or the officer they cooperate, fine. And there are cheaters and cheaters. That's what I said. They do cooperate. They cooperate with the local big industrialists and big business magnates, and everything is smooth. They don't question. But apparently a person is so serious, he wants to really establish, then they will say, okay, I am giving you 2 days time along with your family. You will be transferred to the place. There is a saying in Tamil, that it's difficult to translate in English, but anyway, I will say that. But there may be something like that in Hindi also. They say Tanni illa kaadu. Tanni illa kaadu means you will be transferred to a place where there is no water. It's like a forest place. You will be deputed there. Then you are in the city and you are too much. You are questioning, man. Come on, cool down. You are too much. Like that. But you can see here, Parikshit was not like this. He was so powerful. He didn't bother whomsoever it is. Immediately he could question. He could find out why such a thing is happening. He didn't allow like the cases that is happening in the court these days. The cases are just pending. Okay, the case is adjourned. It is postponed. It is adjourned. Something decision could be taken quickly. Maybe some case may require so much more investigation, complication. But even a small case, it will be adjourned. Or it's all this Kali Yuga is such a crazy yuga. So all kinds of nonsense are happening. Okay. The king cannot tolerate insults to the most important animal, the cow, nor can he tolerate disrespect to the most important man, the Brahmana. Human civilization means to advance the cause of Brahminical culture. So this is a nice point by Prabhupada. And to maintain it, cow protection is essential. There is a miracle in milk. For it contains all the necessary vitamins to sustain human physiological conditions for higher achievements. We can have a separate seminar on how the milk is being manipulated, how the cows are being tortured, how there are legalized slaughterhouses. It's a pathetic situation. The government is not able to do anything about it. And there are so many so-called industrialists. And in the West, it's a common thing. So many slaughterhouses in so many places. Sometimes we can just, go to the city and then just open our eyes and then look around. How much advertisements are being happening for all these things. For all these abominable things which needs to be stopped. But legally it is happening. It's a very unfortunate situation. So Brahminical culture can advance only when man is educated to develop the quality of goodness. See how many times Prabhupada mentions this. And for this there is a prime necessity of food prepared with milk, fruits and grains. KFC, what KFC has got to do in India? McDonald's, KFC. So many abominable companies have that's how they could venture, how they have to come. In the name of secularism, everything is being allowed. What is really good for people? What will really be beneficial for people? Nobody is promoting. Vegetarian, they are promoting as vegetarian. You can be a vegetarian, and then they show that you have powerful muscles. One egg a day keeps you healthy and strong. This is how they advertise. Nonsense, actually. Completely bogus things are being promoted. And nobody is there to question. Doctors also are saying, the doctor will be given some huge. They may even say if they do some research and if they find something is bad, they will never speak that out. The company which is promoting will ask some fellow to give a talk. But there are some people who are very bold even today. They really, if something is wrong and something is bad, they do speak, but these people are not popular people among the mass. They are not so popular. Maharaj Parikshit was astonished to see that a black Shudra dressed like a ruler was mistreating a cow, the most important animal in society. Okay, here see what Prabhupada says. The age of Kali means mismanagement and quarrel. And quarrel is that worthless men with the modes of lower class men who have no higher ambition in life come to the helm of the state management. So, what is the problem or the root cause of all the problems in this modern day life? What is the root cause? Uto, wake up. Yeah, lower class men, they are the rulers. They take the power. They themselves do not do anything. So Prabhupada says that such men at the post of a king are sure to first hurt the cow and the Brahminical culture, thereby pushing all society towards hell. Maharaj Parikshit, trained as he was, got the scent of this root cause of all quarrel in the world. Thus, he wanted to stop it in the very beginning. So, the point is, you see, I'm just thinking, that the animal's perspective, if you see, so there are, different planets, there are some planets are, Bhu, Bhuva, Swaha, and there are some Narakalokas, no? Separate lokas, Narakalokas. For them, they'll think, we are already in Narakaloka only, they'll think. No? That is the situation. Every day, thousands and thousands of hens are killed, thousands and thousands of cows and bulls and so many things are slaughtered. What a pathetic situation. Now we can just see this situation. We will go to the next verse and we will discuss about that. What was the, how the sadhus perceived it, this whole situation. We will discuss about it next verse. Okay, another point to discuss. Protection, administration and welfare. This is the responsibility of the king. They are always concerned how to protect the prajas, how to do proper administration so that all the facilities are met by the people. Sufficient food is there, clothing is there. See that the prajas are engaged in yagyas, they are engaged in dharmic activities. It is the responsibility of the king to see that profound teachings of the message of the Lord is spread. So they should see that spiritual knowledge is transmitted. There should be wonderful worship in the temples. There should be Krishna Katha going on. Holy name should be spread. Prasadam should be profusely distributed. These are all responsibilities of the king. The Prime Minister should see that all these things are happening. Always it is worth it, for us to distribute books to the leaders. One day or other they will open the book and then they will think about it seriously. I heard that, in some place, I am not sure which place, the local minister, someone got the Bhagavad Gita and next day he went and then gave a talk somewhere. Okay, he read from the Bhagavad Gita. Of course, he got a little inspired to say some things from that. Of course, they also manipulate the Bhagavad Gita also. They use it according to their whims and fancies. That is there. But I tell you, it is worth distributing Prabhupada's books to all. You remember that famous photo where Prabhupada himself personally handing over to, who was that? Lal Bahadur Shastri. Prabhupada was giving the Bhagavad Gita and other books. Because see, it's always top down, If the top people, they are well versed in the scriptures, they know what is dharma, they know what to do, then naturally the people who are below them, they will follow. Yata Raja Tata Praja. Correct? That's the whole point. So if the Raja doesn't know, it's a problem. So okay. So now we are just moving to another theme. Now we can seeing this situation, having saw how Parikshit responded in this situation, the rishis were a little bit amazed. Now we'll see in what way they were amazed. Saunak Rishi inquires about the punishment of Kali and explains the glories of hearing about topics relating to Krishna. So next 4 verses talks about that. Shaunaka uvacha kasya hetor nijagraha kalim digvijaye nripaha Nrdeva chigna drikshudra koshaugham yapadahanat tatkatyatam mahabhagam yadi Krishna katashrayam. Yadi Krishna katashrayam. Now this is an important aspect of this whole verse. Shaunaka Rishi inquired, why did Maharaj Parikshit simply punish him since he was the lowest of the Shudras? Having dressed as a king and struck a cow on the leg. please describe all these incidents if they relate to the topics of Lord Krishna. Now, what is the surprise they had? What was the rishis? What was the surprise there? Yeah. What? Why didn't Parikshit Maharaj? Why he did not kill him? Why he just? What is the punishment that he gave? Why he has to give punishment? He's beating the cow and the bull. This is very bad. How we cannot tolerate? Oh, we don't even want to hear this. That was the situation during that time. Even for just a beating, beating itself is very bad. That was the standard that was there during that time. And another important aspect that we see here, see they are saying, so that's why I said that word had a little significance. What was the word? Nijagraha, sufficiently punished. What is it, sufficiently punished? They are little wondering. He should have just killed him. That's what they were just thinking. And they are here, and there is another aspect that we will discuss in detail. They are saying that, but okay, still we would like to know what is this all about, because a cow is being stuck on its leg. They are not actually interested in hearing all these things. They want to be so Krishna conscious. They don't want to deviate from any topic. But you can see here an interesting point. They are saying that, please describe all these incidents. What is the condition they are putting? If they relate to the topics of Lord Krishna. Krishna Kathashrayam. So, lot to learn from this. But we are exactly opposite. Krishna Kathashrayam. We are not interested in that. Anything else? Immediately the ears become 5 meters wide. We get all else. We can put the words opposite side. As Srila Rupa Goswami says, we need millions and millions of tongues, millions and millions of ears. So we are just, Prabhu, let me be fully attentive. Let my ears, try to expand the ears to hear all the unnecessary prajalpa, all the useless topics, and so many things. Okay, we will discuss that. Let's see what Prabhupada says in the purport. Okay, here is the point. Prabhupada says, the rishis in those days, however, could not even imagine that in the advanced days of the age of Kali, the lowest of the Shudras would be elected as administrators. Open organized slaughterhouses for killing cows. Organized slaughterhouses? There is no question of speaking about this. Anyway, although hearing about a Shudraka who was a cheat and insulter of a cow was not very interesting to the great rishis, they nevertheless wanted to hear about it to see if the event had any connection with Lord Krishna. If the event had any connection with Krishna, then you please speak to us about it. Otherwise, they are not interested. They were simply interested in the topics of Lord Krishna, for anything that is dovetailed with the narration of Krishna is worth hearing. This is a nice point, no? Anything, let it be any. So Srila Prabhupada, he spoke on so many subject matters, right? Prabhupada spoke on politics, Prabhupada spoke on sociology, Prabhupada spoke on the recent politics. Many topics Prabhupada covered. Why Prabhupada spoke about all those things? Because he saw how this is not in proper line with the Vedic conclusion. How these kind of activities will bring our consciousness down. We will degrade ourselves into lower species of life. So we need to raise our consciousness. So looking at the Vedic perspective. So you remember this book Hare Krishna Challenge. So many things will be published. Sometimes we see devotees also go to another extreme. There are two extremes we will discuss now. One extreme is that we will speak only about Krishna Prem. We will not discuss anything else. Bhagavatam, also in Bhagavatam also we will only discuss about those topics about Prem and these things. But we everyone remember that we have to clearly understand the difference between matter and spirit. We have to understand what are the things that are favorable to the practice of Krishna consciousness, what are the things that are unfavorable to Krishna consciousness. If we remember the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there are two things, Pashanda Dalan and Prema Prachar. Both the things are there. So unless the misconceptions are cut, very difficult for us to really develop pure love for God. Now that's one thing. Another thing is that there is another extreme is that only always just do Pashanda Dalan. In the name of Krishna consciousness, we will be so much engrossed in discussing all kinds of topics in politics, politicians, marriage. He's before he took the post, what was that he was doing, which movie he went and then saw, what he ate. Sometimes we can see, we go into so many unnecessary details which will create a bad samskara in our mind. Even while discussing also with others, we have to. That's why a devotee who is very experienced, he knows what to say, what not to say. So let's say there is a Bhagavatam class. A speaker is giving Bhagavatam class. Now, what to say, what not to say? Okay, you may say there may be a purport, there may be a verse, which will you will take that verse and then you will relate it to the current events. Okay, fine, perfect. That has to be done. But that should not go to so much gross events. So there may be a situation where there may be a politician who would have done some mess with some actress. Okay, now don't get into the minute by minute, second by second details of what you read in the newspaper. You know about it, okay, fine. Don't now too much get into the details. But take the principle, explain that, and then tell what is the Krishna conscious solution. That also has to be done. So we should always remember this. That has to be balanced very nicely. You say so much about the problems, and you don't even say anything about what is the Krishna conscious solution. Then what happens? Then this becomes like it just sits on our head. That's why you can see sometimes devotees say Matchitta Madgata Prana Bodhayantah Parasparam Katayantascha Mam Nitya Tushyanti Charamanti Cha. Katayant, what are you doing? You are the Katayantascha Mam Nityam. What your Katha you are discussing? Prajalpa Katha. This is what, He says, oh, you know what? Before coming to Krishna consciousness, I also went through this particular movie. And then in that movie, that particular scene, that particular actress, no need. Why you are having so much garbage in your head? Why are you dumping the garbage now? There is no need. Not able to understand what the point is. Try to become Krishna conscious. Well, sometimes we may have some certain problem that we can go and then reveal personally to some advanced devotee who is in very good standing. That's why, to be a spiritual master or to be in a very responsible position, one has to be really Krishna conscious, digest so many things. Otherwise, this will eat us. But you can see here why they are great rishis, great personalities. They are so alert. You say, okay, it has got connection with Krishna, you please speak. Otherwise, no need. So now, the point that we are trying to say here is that there should be a balance in both the situations. Not that you don't discuss, I will only speak about Krishna Katha, directly. When Prabhupada spoke about so many various things. But it should not be dragged to the mundane level. Sometimes there could be strong statement also. Very strong statement. You can see the speaker will be sufficiently Krishna conscious. He may say something, and you can see by his purity and by his practice, he will say such a statement and he will not be so much disturbed by that kind of a statement, and he will present it in such a way that that will create that will make the person think about life, and also that he will present it in such a way that it will give an impetus to surrender to Krishna. You understand the point? Not that you just discuss about what you ate in the hotel, what non-vegetarian stuff and all these things. Getting into too many details, that's not required. And also all the time we should be conscious enough to somehow or other bring Krishna in picture. And that is the situation of an advanced devotee. So that we should keep in mind. So Prabhupada says here, there are many topics in the Bhagavatam about sociology, politics, economics, cultural affairs, etc. But all of them are in relation with Krishna. So we are interested in hearing Bhagavatam. And therefore all of them are worth hearing. Krishna is the purifying ingredient in all matters, regardless of what they are. In the mundane world, everything is impure due to its being a product of the three mundane qualities. The purifying agent, however, is Krishna. Sometimes there are some people who are also so-called devotees. They will never ever say any one word. Also, they will not say. Let's say we will be very careful not to this particular. So let's say you are seeing one particular so-called guru. He's something he's giving. There is a bad statement that he has given. Okay, about Krishna or his teachings. You should be bold enough to say what is right and what is wrong. And you should just at least take the principles and just defeat the principles. So we don't have to falsely say that, let this speaker become devotee of the Lord. Let this guru we wish this guru all long life, let this guru, he's already popular in the society, he's already doing a lot of social service. No need to say all these things. Present what is the really wrong aspect of it, and why do you, yes, somebody is in such a cadre who is taken as position of a guru, then he should really act like a guru. Guru means who just follow these wordings of scriptures. Now our intention is not to kill the person, to kill all the misconceptions of the person that he is projecting into the society. So that has to be addressed. So are you getting the point what we are discussing here? So to the degree it is required, to that degree it has to be discussed. Not that we should just completely avoid it. So both the things has to be balanced nicely. Okay, so this is the most important point. So Prabhupada finally concludes that in the mundane world everything is impure due to its being a product of the three mundane qualities. The purifying agent, however, is Krishna. So that's the thing. That's so we should leave a strong impression in the minds of the audience that there is hope. Although this material world is so hopeless and so miserable, but there is hope by taking to the process of Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is such a powerful process that we will be able to overcome all the tragedies of this material life. So both we have to tell what is the reality, and we have to also present how by taking to Krishna consciousness we will be able to overcome all the adversities of this material life. Artavasya padangboja makaranda liham satam kimanyair asad alapair ayusho yad asad vyayah. Or please speak of topics related to the devotees of the Lord who are accustomed to licking up the honey available from the lotus feet of the Lord. What is the use of topics which simply waste one's valuable life? The battle of Kurukshetra is full of politics and diplomacy, but because the topics are related with Lord Krishna, the Bhagavad Gita is therefore adored all over the world. There is no need to eradicate politics, economics, sociology, etc., which are mundane to the mundaners. To a pure devotee who is actually related with the Lord, such mundane things are transcendental if dovetailed with the Lord or with his pure devotees. We have heard and talked about the activities of the Pandavas, and we now are dealing with the topics of Maharaj Parikshit. But because all these topics are related to the Lord Sri Krishna, they are all transcendental and pure devotees have great interest in hearing them. We have already discussed this matter in connection with the prayers of Bhishma Dev. So that's the whole point. So here immediately an explanation is given that the topic should not be to waste the valuable human life, not just simply discussing so many unnecessary things which will not make us Krishna conscious. So that is the point. But other than that, we are not rejecting politics or sociology or other activities which will be related with Krishna conscious activities. We are for it. We are not against it. So that's the whole point. Now, one other point I was just thinking that why somebody would be interested in discussing too much Prajalpa, or even just for that matter, we may think, no, I have to give an impressive class. I have to really catch the attention of all the audience. Now people should glorify. So then you say, what do you do? We will now discuss the current event. Now the latest one that happened in the WhatsApp group, there is one viral thing is going on. And if you can go and make a Krishna conscious presentation and make people enliven in Krishna conscious, that is good. But if you just take some mundane thing and then just discuss on some discuss mundane issue without any Krishna conscious perspective, then it is just Shamayeva Kevalam, that's all. No use. You may try to gain fame. You said, you such a. But at the end of the class, what is it that a person has received? What message he has received? Okay, this is the message, and because of this, these are the problems, and how to become Krishna conscious, how we have to perceive the world, how we have to see things. So like that, what he has learned, what is the impact it has had on the audience? That's very much. We have to think about it. We should not think about how they will say, oh, very nice, he gave a wonderful story in this. It was he entertained us very nicely. We had quite some jokes. All those things may fit in, no problem. You may tell a story, you may tell a joke, but we have to see that the whole gravity is maintained. The Krishna conscious mood is maintained. That should be taken care. If that is not taken care, everything is lost. So that has to be remembered. That's, I mean, we have discussed this before also. It need not be one has to be very, very completely, completely serious. And it need not be all the time too joking. Whatever is required to keep the pure Krishna consciousness, that can be done. There is no hard and fast rule for that. So that has to be, that we have to remember. So that's the whole key point we want to discuss. Okay. And also one more thing, we cannot impress anyone. Everybody knows what is the situation, what we are, and what is it that can be really impressive. If we can just repeat Prabhupada's words. Prabhupada's words, not change what Prabhupada has given. Present Prabhupada's philosophy, not just to impress someone. You blabber something. This all will only create havoc for our spiritual life. And that attitude also sets a wrong. Gives a wrong impression to the people also. So that, and we also will see if we are very straightforward, very very truthful, very clear in our presentation, that will also have impact on people, and we will see over a period of time gradually people will change. So that is the whole point. Okay, and let's continue. Again, here is another point is being discussed. Our duration of life is not very long, and there is no certainty of when we shall be ordered to leave everything for the next stage. Thus, it is our duty to see that not a moment of our life is wasted in topics which are not related with Lord Krishna. Any topic, however pleasant, is not worth hearing if it is devoid of its relation to Krishna. So I was just thinking about, in so many fields, it may be sports, it may be music, it may be I just put this Rahul Velal, Jagjit Singh, so many, Michael Jackson, so many different things. Sometimes people go so too deep, and just how much Krishna conscious we are going to be, we have to see. Sometimes I would just say, yesterday I had a discussion with devotees. I just opened I was just discussing with devotees about how in the early days the Doordarshan will be. Just, it was a light topic we were discussing during Prasad, but we were trying to make a point that those days the programs were very short. First of all, it's a one-night demon. Television is a one-night demon. We only had TV those days, and the program is for some 3 hours or something. Within the 3 hours, there will be some programs, there will be some craze. So that's a short discussion. And then the whole main point was that the culture is so much degraded. So then another devotee said, "No, Prabhu, yeah, probably we were not born at that time when you were there. The television shows were like that. But then, even if it was when it was in 80s, then again, if those my mother and father and there, if you just trace it back another 20 years, 30 years, there was no TV at all. They had people had so much time discussing so many things. So the whole point is, if there is some discussion, the discussion should trigger to Krishna conscious point. Otherwise, it's a danger. No, very clearly, Sri Rupa Goswami is giving us this instruction, isn't it? Prajalpo niyamagraha, he says. So, and it's nature of this material world to drag us out, and then we become very enthusiastic. It's a common thing of, oh, you are from Madurai, huh? I am also from Madurai. And just discussion starts there, just on the platform of Madurai. Many times we discuss this, you are Gujarati, I am a Gujarati, you are a Tamil, I am a Tamil. And immediately bondage happens. But, so that's how it is. Okay, Gujarati and Gujarati, Tamil and Tamil come together and then move this big stone so that the pathway for Krishna's temple is done. That's the glory of it. That's what the mood should be. Then we are in a very safe path. Otherwise, everything will degrade us. Okay. Let's continue. Okay. So in this similar pattern, if you just see, there are very profound instructions by Shukadeva Goswami in the second canto of the Bhagavatam, which we'll be reading in detail. I thought this is some kind of a strong dose of medicine, which will remind us how important it is for us to very carefully mold our human life to push ourselves against the effect of the three modes, against the effect of the conditionings, how the Bhagavatam is helping us to wake up from the slumber of Maya. So I just, for our own inspiration, just thought of reading those verses just to remind, so that we can be little inspired to read it. Oh, okay, let's quickly go back. Okay. So we can see a similar pattern in which Shukadeva Goswami is just giving now heavy dose of how not to waste the human form of life. Ayuhu harati vaipumsan udyan astang chayannasau tasyarte yakshano nita uttama shloka vartaye. Both by rising and by setting, the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone except one who utilizes the time by discussing topics of all good personality of Godhead. Tarva king na jivanti, bhastra king na shvasantyuta, nakadhanti na mehanti, king grame pashavo pare. These are from the chapter Pure Devotional Service, the Change in Heart, Canto 2, Chapter 3. I just read the verse 17, now I just read verse 18. I'm going to read the translation of it. Do the trees not live? Do the bellows of the blacksmith not breathe? All around us, do the beasts not eat and discharge semen? Shvavid varahoshtrakaraihi samstuta purushah pashuhu nayat karna patopeta jatu nama gada grajaha. Men who are like hogs, dogs, camels and asses praise those men who never listen to the transcendental pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna, the deliverer from evils. Bilevator kramavikramanye nashrinvata karnapute narasya jigva sati dardurike vasuta nachopagayatyurgaya ghataha. One who has not listened to the messages about the prowess and marvelous acts of the personality of Godhead and has not sung or chanted loudly the worthy songs about the Lord is to be considered to possess ear holes like the holes of snakes and a tongue like the tongue of a frog. Quite a good dose. Bhar parang patta kirita jushtam apyuttamangam nanamen mukundam shavau karau nakureta saparyam harer lasat kanchana kankanauva. The upper portion of the body, though crowned with a silk turban, is only a heavy burden if not bowed down before the personality of Godhead, who can award mukti, freedom. And the hands, though decorated with glittering bangles, are like those of a dead man if not engaged in the service of the personality of Godhead Hari. Barha ite te nayane naranam lingani vishnor na nirikshato ye pado nranam tau drumajanma bhajau kshetrani nanu vrajato hareryau. The eyes which do not look at the symbolic representations of the personality of God and Vishnu, his forms, name, quality, etc. are like those printed on the plumes of the peacock. And the legs which do not move to the holy places where the Lord is remembered are considered to be like tree trunks. Jivan chavo bhagavatangri renum na jatu martyo bhilabheta yastu Sri Vishnu padhya manujastu lasya shvasan chavo yastu na veda gandham. The person who has not at any time received the dust of the feet of the Lord's pure devotee upon his head is certainly a dead body, and the person who has never experienced the aroma of the tulasi leaves from the lotus feet of the Lord is also a dead body, although breathing. Tadashmasharang hridayang bhatedam yadgrihyamanair harinamadeyaih na vikriyetat yada vikaro netre jhalam gatra ruheshu harshah. Certainly that heart is steel framed which, in spite of once chanting the holy name of the Lord with concentration, does not change when ecstasy takes place. Tears fill the eyes and the hair stand on end. Okay, so it's just a reminder that in the same mood here, the great sages are saying, what is the use of topics which simply waste one's valuable life? So we have to wake up. So again and again we are being beaten for us to wake up from Maya. Okay. So the thing is that we need to hear these topics so much because if you don't hear these topics and if you don't hear these strong words, how we will be shaken up? Because we have samskaras from previous lives. Yesterday, myself and Yashoda Jivan, we had some interesting discussion. So from previous samskaras, previous lives, we so many things get kindled, all the past memories, so many things we remember. But then, constantly singing the holy names, constantly being in touch with the message of Bhagavatam, it shakes us up, it wakes us up, it puts us in proper tune. And also, when we are under the Vaishnava who is very seriously practicing, and when he chastises us, immediately we just wake up. We just wake up from Maya. Then it becomes so dull and so. We become like zombies, actually, so dull at some point of time. But the only hope for us is in the association of devotees, and in the association of hearing Bhagavatam in the association of devotees. We become active, we become energy, we get. Okay, text 7. Shudrayusham nranam anga martyanam mritamicchatam iho pahuto bhagavan mrityashamitra karmani. O Sutta Goswami, there are those amongst men who desire to become free from death and get eternal life instead of a short life. They escape the slaughtering process by calling the controller of death Yamaraja. So, here is a secret that is given, how to escape the clutches of Yamaraj or the clutches of death. Okay, here Prabhupada is very nicely addressing this in the purport. Let's pay attention. Okay, I'll read the full purport. The living entity, as it develops from lower animal life to higher human being, and gradually to higher intelligence, becomes anxious to get free from the clutches of death. Modern scientists try to avoid death by physiochemical advancement of knowledge. If you remember, we had some discussion on the topic of cryonics. The so-called scientists, they think that they are super intelligent and big people who think that by the advancement of science and technology, they will be able to help us stay in the same old body. So the science of cryonics, very interesting. There is I just was looking into one of the dictionaries, and they said that cryonics is a science fiction. They made a mockery of the whole idea of cryonics. You understand what is science fiction, right? Imagination in the field of science. Fiction means in reality there is nothing like that. But they will have so many imaginative stories. That's why sometimes people are interested in reading the science fiction, the stories based on science, which will be all imaginative. Now, like there is a famous serial, which was famous in India also for some time. That's called Star Trek. That fellow will just stand in front of a hole, and then suddenly you will see he will just appear in planet Earth, and then they will see some scenes from planet Earth. And then again they will go take you to the space one. So like that. So cryonics is such a field or a technology in which they are giving hope to people that we will preserve your body. Just you are like almost going to die. In that situation, you submit to your body to us. We will take care of your body, and we are making so many different kinds of advancements, and we will preserve the body as it is, and soon we will revive you also. So the idea is that the person can stay back in the same body, and so that he can be in touch with the loved and dear ones. So in the material world, what is more dear? The body is very dear, and then the expansion of the body is the most dearest thing for a person who is in ignorance, right? So this is what they are giving hope. They are giving false hope. Scientists are giving false hope. Prabhupada is addressing it immediately. Modern scientists try to avoid death by physiochemical advancement. Physiochemical advancement of knowledge, but alas, the controller of death is Yamaraja. He is so cruel that he does not spare even the very life of the scientist himself. This is interesting. Prabhupada said similar statement somewhere, I am not able to recollect. He said a similar statement in another purport. You remember hearing that. A scientist who puts forward the theory of stopping death by advancement of scientific knowledge becomes himself a victim of death when he is called by Yamaraj. The famous one conversation. The Prabhupada says one fellow comes to the doctor and he asks, can you please increase my life by 4 years? I will just accomplish some things and then it's okay if I die. I'm sorry, it's not possible. Everyone at the time of birth, its death date is also fixed. Everything is written on the head. So everything is fixed. What to speak of stopping death? No one can enhance a short period of life even by a fraction of a moment. This is another interesting point. Fraction of a moment also you cannot. So here Prabhupada is amazingly saying that The only hope of suspending the cruel slaughtering process of Yamaraj is to call him to hear and chant the holy name of the Lord. Yamaraj is a great devotee of the Lord, and he likes to be invited to kirtanas and sacrifices to the pure devotees who are constantly engaged in the devotion service of the Lord. Okay, so the best solution is just be engaged in kirtan, and Yamaraj will just come and participate in that. Thus, the great sages headed by Shaunaka and others invited Yamaraj to attend the sacrifice performed at Naimisharanya. This was good for those who did not want to die. Okay, again the same point made here. Nakaschin mriyate tavad yavat astaihang takah yetat artam hi bhagavan ahuta paramarshibhi aho nriloke piyeta hari leelamritam vachah. As long as Yamaraja, who causes everyone's death, is present here, no one shall meet with death. The great sages have invited the controller of death, Yamaraja, who is a representative of the Lord. Living beings who are under his grip should take advantage of hearing the deathless nectar in the form of this narration of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. So, we should get that nectar. What nectar? Aho nriloke piyeta. Piyeta means drink. Drink what? Hari Leelamritam Vachaha. So here you see again a secret is, you see now I tell you there are people now at present people are suffering because of this pandemic. People are into mental depression, they are scared, they are not able to go out. Day before yesterday I was speaking to one of my relatives. He said that I'm just waiting to go. He's going to be close to 60 years, okay. He's a head of the department in one of the computer science head of department in one big university. Now he is all throughout the year he is active, going to the college, giving presentations, teaching, correcting papers, thesis, so many things. So for him, life without going to the college is no life. So in the last almost 1 year, right now we are having this corona problem for the last 1 year. He has got into depression, he has got into difficulties because not able to speak much, he is into seclusion. So when he was feeling a little better, hoping that okay, the college announced that in September we will be able to come, we will be able to go over there. But they are not able to understand that whatever activity, mundane activity you do, you are going to suffer more. So the best solution, that Amritam, the nectar of, you want to really experience the nectar, and you have to get absorbed in Harikatha. So that's the whole point. So when I was trying to give one Bhagavatam said for him, he said that, not at this point. I cannot take it now. Give me some time. He is quite a pious person. But you see, this is the whole point, that then I was realizing, oh Krishna, if we postpone many spiritual activities, more and more we postpone it, think we'll do it later, I will never be able to do it later, maybe, Maybe I will never have that interest, I will never have that inclination. So better you like it or you don't like it, you start it now. And then this, as we were discussing the other day, this Krishna conscious practice is so powerful. It's like a magnet, You get attracted. When you just iron filings come near the magnet, immediately it gets attracted. So if we just throw ourselves to this Krishna conscious process, then we will, by the mercy of the spiritual master, by the mercy of the Vaishnavas, by the mercy of the Supreme Lord himself, we will be able to develop some attraction for this Krishna conscious process. If we develop some attraction for this Krishna conscious process, then our life is so blissful. We will not be in mental trauma. We will not be thinking, oh, what will happen tomorrow? I may die because of this. This may happen, that may happen. Whatever may be the situation, we will be able to face because we will get the clarity. I am eternal. I am not going to die. What Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Somritattvaya kalpate. What he says? How does the verse goes? Begin. No. Somritattvaya kalpate. How does the verse begin? Come on, great Rishi sitting here. The very first thing Krishna is introducing, yes, one will enter into the. What is the next verse after that famous shloka? Titikshava. One has to control. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, that agama payano nityastam titikshashva bharata. Yam hina vyatayantyete purusham purushashava. Samadukka sukam dhiram somritattvaya kalpate. One will be able to enter into one will be fixed in the So Amrita, one will be experiencing this nectarian eternal life. So that means there is no more fear because he has got the knowledge. He's not the spirit, he is not matter in spirit, and he is able to control the senses and mind and tolerate the sufferings of this material world because of knowing the nature of the material world and completely being absorbed in Krishna's service. He is able to tolerate the difficulties, and then you will be able to enter into the amazing nectar that is being that we receive by hearing the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. Okay, let's see what Prabhupada says. Every human being dislikes meeting death, but he does not know how to get rid of death. The surest remedy by avoiding death is to accustom oneself to hearing the nectarian pastimes of the Lord as they are systematically narrated in the text of Srimad Bhagavatam. Let me just share with you one incident. We may see them unless we absorb ourselves very much in Krishna's service by chanting, by hearing. At this point of time, we may do it, we may do it, you may let it be even mechanically, we are doing it. But gradually over a period of time, we submit ourselves because it's a very powerful and time-tested process. We will be able to come out of the bhaya, shoka, moha, bhaya. We'll definitely be able to overcome that. We'll be able to come out of it if we are applying ourselves properly and always hankering for the mercy. We will be able to overcome that. But otherwise, don't think that over a period of time things will just change. And we gave this example. No, so this room is dirty and clean. Dirty, okay. Now everywhere there is paper and everything. Okay, let's come after some 4 hours. This room will become clean. It is not going to clean unless somebody takes the broomstick, somebody cleans it, takes effort. So similarly, if you do conscious effort in trying to serve the Bhagavatam with a proper oral reception, if we submit ourselves, definitely we'll be able to overcome this. And this we'll be able to see when some people become old. I just discussing with one devotee. So he said that, this pandemic, I'm just getting a little fierce. He says 2 kinds of fears I'm getting. One fear is that, if something happens to me, who is going to take care of me? That is one fear. Another fear he was having was, I may become a burden to others. Somebody has taken me to hospital. He has no son, no daughter, no one is there. So he was saying that, I'm just worried, I don't want to be a trouble to others. So I was just saying that, don't worry too much about it. You just, why you have to be fear at all? Okay, if something is going to happen to you, it's going to happen to you, it's your karma. Don't be bothered, you just absorb yourself. More you hear, more you chant, more you serve, you will be freed from this kind of mental conception. Krishna's protection is there. Have faith. So he's saying that I'm consciously trying, but this lower tendencies are pulling me. What to do? I said, it just depend on Krishna. Just go on, take association of devotees. Because sometimes in situation where you cannot go to temple, you are not able to meet devotees. So more we have to absorb ourselves. And Prabhupada says, Krishna is there in the form of holy name. Krishna is there in the form of devotional service. Krishna is there when we read Bhagavatam. Krishna is there. Krishna is personally present. And some devotees, when devotees are more advanced, what do they do? Even those sometimes devotees are informed, you are going to die because of cancer. You are going to, there are great devotees. I was just thinking of Jayananda Prabhu. He was using that situation also to preach to others. He was in the hospital. So he will request devotees bring some prasadam. Sometimes some people come and meet me. He will distribute prasadam. He will preach to them. And he's not completely mentally gone, mentally upset. Oh, I'm going to die by cancer. Completely don't know what to do. No problem. Devotees, he tolerates some pain. He's always absorbed. We recently read the Bhishma section, how he was so absorbed. So similarly, we can see what do we learn from Bhagavatam? Bhagavatam is not some dry theoretical book. It is every single instruction is giving us guidance how to handle the practical current scenario, how we can deal with the situation, how we can learn, how we can apply ourselves. Isn't it? So how much we learn from Bhagavatam, we just think about it whenever we open. So we should be very eager to open and read and apply these instructions in our life. And then we will see, then we will be walking with so much realizations. Then we will be able to inspire ourselves. We will be inspired ourselves and we will inspire others. We will be able to give hope. That's why you see when Maharaj comes, other advanced devotees come, we immediately get so much hope. There is hope against hope. Recently we heard the lecture about Vibhishana. So Maharaj is again and again giving what's the essential point he said. You see, when Vibhishana could make it, We are even worse than more. Our situations are even maybe more worse than Vibhishana, but we can make progress if we take shelter. The Lord is very merciful. No? Okay, let's continue. Okay, this is again another famous verse. Verse to be learned also. Text 9. Okay. Andasya manda prajnasya vayo mandayushascha vai nidrayaryate naktam divacha vyartha karma bihi. So, mandasya, lazy human beings with paltry intelligence and a short duration of life pass the night sleeping and the day performing activities that are for naught. Naught means what? Naught means pujyam. No, sorry, zero, useless. They are just wasting their life. So the point here is, we have a similar verse in the second canto. Second canto also says, what the daytime, what he does, he is working so hard for economic development, to trying to help the members of the family, and in the night time what he does, he is engaged in either in sleeping or in engaged in sex life. This is how his energy is wasted. So what is the use of such life is mentioned here. The intelligent take care of the important gift by endeavoring to get out of the entanglement, but the less intelligent are lazy and unable to evaluate the gift of the human body. Instead of employing the energy of the human body to achieve liberation from material bondage, they become more interested in so-called economic development and work very hard throughout life simply for sense enjoyment of the temporary body. Unfortunately, one devotee, he was practicing Krishna consciousness, but finally ended up becoming a politician. It's unfortunate, huh? And then so much now he is speaking about economic development. We can particularly observe how the human being is engaged for nothing in the great cities and industrial towns. There are so many things manufactured by human beings, but they are all meant for sense enjoyment and not for getting out of material bondage. And after working hard during the daytime, a tired man either sleeps or engages in sex habits at night. That is the program of materialistic civilized life for the less intelligent. Therefore, they are designated herein as lazy, unfortunate, and short-lived. Kudumba bharanenava. That's what that verse, other verse is. Just whole family life. Yes, he's just putting that heavy burden on his head. Keeping that alone as the prime goal of life. Okay. Parikshit as a conqueror against the effect of Kali. Now, in the next 6 verses, now what Parikshit Maharaj did, what action he took, what is the step he has taken, that is being discussed. Okay. Text number 10. Suta Goswami said, while Maharaj Parikshit was residing in the capital of the Kuru Empire, the symptoms of the age of Kali began to infiltrate within the jurisdiction of his state. When he learned about this, he did not think the matter very palatable. This did, however, give him a chance to fight. He took up his bow and arrows and prepared himself for military activity. So Prabhupada immediately, he is just acknowledging the point that how did he know that the Kali has entered? How did he know? Prabhupada is addressing the point. They are the symptoms of the age of Kali. They are illicit connection with women, indulgence in meat eating, intoxication, and taking pleasure in gambling. So these are all the symptoms which we see in the human society, and because of that there is huge quarrel. Okay, Prabhupada further he says, this means that at least up to the regime of Maharaj Parikshit, such symptoms of public life were practically unknown. And as soon as they were slightly detected, he wanted to root them out. Can you imagine? There was nothing like that in the previously, till Parikshit was ruling. Okay. Now there is another interesting point. Prabhupada is pointing out how Parikshit was immediately ready to rectify the situation, and he is pointing out that a perfect Kshatriya king is always jubilant as soon as he gets a chance to fight, just as a sportsman is eager when there is a chance for a sporting match. It is no argument that in the age of Kali such symptoms are predestined. If so, then why was there preparation for rooting out such symptoms? Such arguments are offered by lazy and unfortunate men. In the rainy season, rain is predestined, and yet people take precautions to protect themselves. Similarly, in the age of Kali, the symptoms as above mentioned are sure to infiltrate into social life. But it is the duty of the state to save the citizens from the association of the agents of the age of Kali. Sometimes we see a devotee say, Prabhuji, that is the problem, Prabhu. It's all the age of Kali, Prabhu. That's why I'm struggling and having difficulty. So it is foolish to say, it is raining heavily. So there are some things you have to do. So it is raining heavily, what you will do? You will just not do. You will not do some regular activity that has to be done. You will not do. What you will do? You will carry an umbrella, right? You carry an umbrella and you walk on the road. Now, when you are having the umbrella, then you are protected. The water is not going to disturb you. Similarly, if you take shelter of the umbrella of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, then we are protected from the onslaught of Maya. So, taking shelter of International Society for Krishna Consciousness means taking shelter of the holy name, taking shelter of Krishna Katha, taking shelter of Krishna Prasadam, taking shelter of the association of the devotees who are absorbed in all these three things. Then we are free from Maya. So that is what the king has to establish, and king has to immediately punish. Remember one of the lecture Prabhupada says, why in Kashmir those days there was the Brahmanas' houses doors were left open, because the king there used to cut the hands if somebody does the some thievery is there, he will immediately cut the hands. So people were bold enough to leave the door open. They were afraid. So now it is explained how the king left the capital, dressed himself properly, and then he decided to go and then conquer in all directions. See what is happening. You see everything is happening around properly. So he left. So that is text 11. Now text 12, it also shows us that the king was ruling the entire, Parikshit was ruling the entire world, and he also establishes that he collected taxes from all over the different country, and Prabhupada in the purpose explains about the different dvipas and different varshas. So I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to the next verse. Okay, this is an interesting verse. Let's recite this. It gives a glorification of the lineage of Maharaj Parikshit, and also immediately reminds us about the glory of the devotees. Text 13 to 15. Tatra tatro pashrinvanaha swapurvesham mahatmanam pragiyamanam cha yashah krishna mahatmya shuchakam atmanam cha paritratam Ashvattamnostrtejasah sneham cha vrishnipartanam teshang bhaktim cha keshavem tebyah paramasantushta prityujrambita lochanah mahadhanam vasamsi dadauharan mahamanaha. Wherever the king visited, he continuously heard the glories of the great forefathers, who were all devotees of the Lord, and also of the glorious acts of Lord Krishna. He also heard how he himself had been protected by the Lord from the powerful heat of the weapon of Ashwattama. So he was Parikshit started absorbing himself, hearing about Krishna's glories. People also, because by hearing about their own relatives, also their own relatives are great devotees of the Lord, immediately reminded about the Lord. People also mentioned the great affection between the descendants of the Vrishni and Pritha due to the latest great devotion to Lord Keshava. The king, being very pleased with the singers of such glories, opened his eyes in great satisfaction. He immediately went into absorption. Immediately he was thinking about Krishna, the Pandavas, the great devotees. He was immediately absorbed. He was in trance. Such a pure devotee was Maharaj Parikshit. Out of magnanimity, he was pleased to award them very valuable necklaces and clothing. So this is his glory. So immediately, profusely distributed. Krishna and his unalloyed devotees cannot be separated. Therefore, glorifying the devotee means glorifying the Lord and vice versa. We have seen this before also. Maharaj Parikshit would not have been glad to hear about the glories of his forefathers, like Maharaj Yudhishthira and Arjuna, had they not been connected with the acts of Lord Krishna. So this is the point. Because they were connected with the Lord, immediately they were hearing about them, hearing about their activities is always purifying. The Lord is present for the devotee by his acts and glories, and therefore Maharaj Parikshit felt the presence of the Lord when he was glorified for his acts. Especially his saving Maharaj Parikshit in the womb of his mother. The devotees of the Lord are never in danger, but in the material world, which is full of dangers at every step, the devotees are apparently placed into the dangerous positions. And when they are saved by the Lord is glorified. Lord Krishna would not have been glorified as the speaker of the Bhagavad Gita had his devotees like the Pandavas had not been entangled in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So this is the point, because there is a connection between the Lord and his devotees. It is worth hearing, worth glorifying, worth discussing, worth remembering. And again Prabhupada is now making a mockery here. The difference between the presentation of welcome address today and in those days is that formerly the welcome addresses were presented to a person like Maharaj Parikshit. Now anybody, any Tom, Dick and Harry is being glorified. Anyone, any film star, anybody, anyone, there's a glorification, somebody is glorified. And you can see the politicians, they can just, they'll start to speak about, unfortunately, they glorify about themselves. That's one thing. And another thing nowadays we can see, because before the elections, they will, how to draw the attention of the minds of the people. What they will do is, they will take an old film song. And in the old film song, they will change the text. They will put some words here and there, glorifying the current, who will be the current chief minister, who is contending to be the current chief minister. They will put some words. Oh, he is the greatest, he is the greatest person who does great charity. Oh, he has noble qualities. Very difficult. I was just wondering one day that how this person who wrote the poem, how difficult it would have been for him to write, because none of the qualities are there in that particular so-called politician. Who are all garbage. Only you can find garbage and filth in him. But they will just write all in the name of choice poetry. They will write some nonsense, and then the same person who might have sung their old film song will also sing for this, for this politician also. So Prabhupada here is making a mockery. He is saying that the welcome addresses were full of facts and figures, and those who were presented such addresses were sufficiently rewarded. Really, what they presented were all truth. Wherever Parikshit went, everywhere, Parikshit, welcome. What is your lineage? What kind of personalities were there? What great Pandavas were there? You are great, glorious. And they were really heartily glorified. But here it's not like that, there is hardly anything to glorify. Where there is glorification? You can't find a real Kshatriya now. That's the problem. And Prabhupada makes the point. Whereas in the present days, the welcome addresses are presented not always with factual statements, but to please the post holder. And often they are full of flattering lies, Prabhupada says. And rarely are those who present such welcome addresses rewarded by the poor receiver. Some rascal will sing and another rascal will not even give anything to him. Okay, I will say, already a cut has been given to you. So much money is given for the recording, get lost. Anyway, this is how the modern world is. Now, this verse is a very important verse, good verse for memorization, and I will also later give you this verse. You can just blindly learn. Very nice verse. Again, glorifying Krishna's wonderful activities. How Krishna acted to his devotees. Saratya parashada sevana sakya dautya वीरासनानुगमन स्तवन प्रणामान स्निग्धेषु पाण्डुषु जगत् प्रणतिं च विष्णोर भक्तिं करोति नृपतिश्चरणारविन्दे. So Saratya, by accepting the post of a chariot driver, Parashada, by accepting of the presidency in the assembly of the Rajasuya sacrifice. All Krishna's activities are reminded here. Sevana Sakya Dhautya. So he served very menially, engaging the mind constantly in the service of the Lord. Sakya, he acted as a friend. Dhautya, he accepted the post of the messenger. A similar verse actually, who speaks. In the Bhishma Pride also there is some verse similar to this. There is also another verse, Uddhava also says this. Narada also speaks. Quite some verses speaks about Krishna's glories like this. Okay. Sakya, to think of the Lord as a friend. Okay, that we read. Then Anugamana, following in the footsteps, acceptance of the post of a watchman with a drawn sword at night. Anugamana, following in the footsteps. Stavana, offering of prayers. Pranaman, offering obeisances. Snigdeshu, unto them who are malleable to the will of the Lord. So I'll just read the translation. Maharaj Parikshit heard out of his causeless mercy, Lord Krishna, Vishnu, is universally obeyed, rendered all kinds of service to the malleable sons of Pandu by accepting posts ranging from the chariot driver to the president to the messenger, friend, night watchman, etc., according to the will of the Pandavas, obeying them like a servant and offering obeisances like one younger in years. When he heard this, Maharaj Parikshit became overwhelmed with devotion to the lotus feet of the Lord. This is an amazing thing. Whomsoever hears, see, this is one beautiful thing, whomsoever hears about Krishna, those devotees who are advanced, when the just moment they hear, they are just overwhelmed, they are absorbed, they become stunned. Maharaj Parikshit, as a pure devotee of the Lord, could appreciate the Lord's transcendental reciprocation of the feelings of his devotees, and thus he himself also was overwhelmed with the dealings of the Lord. Simply by appreciating the dealings of the Lord with his pure devotees, one can attain salvation. The Lord's dealings with his devotees appear to be ordinary human dealings, but one who knows them in truth becomes at once eligible to go back home, back to God. That's why we every day read Bhagavatam, every day we speak Bhagavatam, every day we hear Bhagavatam, every day we discuss Bhagavatam, every day we preach Bhagavatam. Why? Because just by this act, we are completely purified. We are coming in the presence of the Lord. The Pandavas were so malleable to the will of the Lord that they could sacrifice any amount of energy for the service of the Lord. We already discussed this, in the 7th chapter. Why they were so special? Because they were ready to sacrifice their body, mind, words, everything in the Krishna's service. So any amount of energy one should be ready to sacrifice for the service of the Lord. Don't do calculation. If you want to make progress in Krishna consciousness, be ready to come up front, take up challenges, take up service, take up any task for the pleasure of the Lord. So by more we give ourselves, more we gain in Krishna consciousness. Gaining in Krishna consciousness means our mind becomes more absorbed in Krishna service. That's the whole point. And by such unalloyed, please take this point, and by such unalloyed determination, they could secure the Lord's mercy in any shape they desired. They are not, the pure devotees, they don't demand. The Lord will do anything for them. Whatever they desire, the Lord is ready to do. How is it possible? Because they are doing such a sacrifice. See, we just remember the state of Quraysh. He didn't ask, he never asked the Lord, please give back my eyes. He never wanted to ask. But by their pure devotion, the Lord will do anything for them. So there's a transcendental competition between the devotee and the Supreme Lord. The devotee is trying to selflessly serve the Lord, and the Lord is trying to see what benefit he can do for his devotee. This is the glory of devotion service. So Bhagavatam is so inspiring that we constantly, this point is being reminded. So Parikshit's absorption we can see. The moment he remembered the Lord, he was in great trance. Okay, we will stop here. Do you have any questions or comments or any realizations or anything else you want to say? Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.